Peoples of the worldwide federated internet. What's good? What up, people? What up? Thank you. Appreciate it. You're far too kind. So today, we get into news and information topic. And before I do that, I want to read a verse, and I want to try to exercise some judgment and equity in this discussion. So let me read this verse real quick, and then I'll get to what I want to talk about. Let's get into this. So in the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 23, the Bible says, "These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment." That word respect means to have regard to in design or purpose. Judgment, the act of judging, the act or process of the minds in comparing its ideas. So I'm going to try my best to not have regard for one person over the next, but I want to be fair in my assessment. We all know this is election year. Some of you who listen to my podcast, you don't like to hear or talk about politics, and some of you do. It's a mixed crowd, and I understand that. And I understand some of you are probably going to hear this and be somewhat unhappy that I'm delving so deep into this issue. But I want to deal with this. We have two candidates running for president. We have a lot going on in the media, and I think it's hard to avoid some of these topics within the context of a believer. And I believe our context is equity and judgment, right? Because we understand that, especially for political leaders, many of these people are not saved. Some of them may be saved. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm not electing a pastor. You know, it's similar to getting your car worked on or selling and buying a house. Would I love to have a mechanic who is a believer? Would I love to have a realtor who is a believer and buy and sell from believers? Of course. It's not always going to be the case. So I try to have equity and judgment. What is the best possible way to go about doing X, Y, or Z? We have two people running for president. Actually, there's more people who are running. Libertarian candidate and some independent candidates, but those candidates are really, I don't want to say irrelevant. They're not irrelevant. I know a little about, her name is Jo Jorgensen, the libertarian candidate. I'm not 100% on board with her either. She, in my opinion, has some issues as well. Not that any of these candidates don't have issues, but keeping it real and being honest, there's two candidates that are at the forefront. One of these two men are going to win on November 3rd. So with that being said, I wanted to deal with some things concerning Donald Trump first. Let's address these things. Donald Trump is not a moral man. He's been married and divorced several times. It would not be a surprise to me if he has cheated on his wives. It would not be a surprise to me if he has slept with porn stars. Dude was a millionaire from a young age. His family was wealthy, not as wealthy as they are now after his business dealings, but he grew up into wealth. That's a fact. That's true. Millionaire playboy. Like I said, immoral man. I'm just gonna state some things that I know for, or that I can at least verify with some degree of assurance, right? I can't verify whether he actually cheated on any of his wives, although it's not out of the realm of possibility. And it's not something that I would argue that, no, that never happened. That would be ridiculous. The dude was a playboy. Very boisterous guy, not humble at all by any means. The man is not humble, does not like admitting when he's wrong. Shark as far as a businessman. There's been many allegations against him of wrongdoing in different instances. None of them necessarily proven. He's, I believe some of the instances he settled out of court. I could be mistaken on that. Forgive me for not, looking heavily into that before recording this video, but I wanted to kind of give a freestyle, open forum for equitable thoughts, right? And I don't want this to be biased by any media, left, right, or indifferent. Just things that, I know. He's had many friends. He was very close to Democrats in the early 80s, early to mid 90s. So, most of the 80s, early and mid 90s, very close to some Democrats. I believe he was a registered Democrat for a while, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. Fact checkers out there, I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Yeah, he's exploited the loopholes in our tax system. Made a lot of money off real estate investments. Seemed to be pretty smart as far as business dealings. A lot of people give him flack for bankruptcies, but for those who understand how bankruptcies actually work, many millionaires and billionaires use bankruptcies to their advantage. If you are a smart businessman, you will at some point use a bankruptcy to your advantage. It's just a thing. Should it be a thing? We could have that debate. It's a thing. Many businessmen have done it. He is many people think that he is an unwise businessman. I don't know if I would say that. Is he the smartest businessman ever? Nah, I don't think so. But unwise, he's made a lot of money. So maybe some of his business dealings weren't the best, but I wouldn't necessarily call him unwise. You don't get where he was by accident. Most people argue that, his father giving him $1 million loan, was a big a big help in his starting point, which is very true. But with that being said, not everyone can turn $1 million into $1 billion. Even during those early days, there's many people who are millionaires who are broke now. You got to have some kind of savvy. If you don't have the answers, you at least have to know who to go to get the answers. You see, many business people, I've learned this following and listening to some business people, don't always have the right answer. But what they do know, and one thing that does separate them, is they know where to get the right answer, even if they themselves don't have the right answer. So that's a fact. He, as far as I can tell, as far as I can go back, and I've watched many interviews going back years, probably at least 30 years, he's always been pro-America. That's not new. Has always espoused love for the country. Has always espoused a problem with America being exploited by foreign interests. You could argue that he has some foreign interests himself. I mean, you can make that argument in many different areas, but I'm just saying what he has said, his own ideology, according to his own words and his own actions. He was friends with Muhammad Ali. He was friends with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. He was friends with many people within the music industry, predominantly the urban culture music industry. A lot of rappers, R&B singers, and the likes. Partied with a lot of them. Good friends with Mike Tyson, and there's some other prominent black people, black and Hispanic people that he was good friends with. I'm not saying the only reason I'm saying all of this is just throwing all of this out there, right? Just throwing it out there. This is not an attack and or a defense. It's just things that we do know, right? These are not things that would be a matter of debate, per se. Many businessmen throughout the early, I want to say 80s, he helped many. Like I said, I don't like necessarily particularly citing whether they were black or white, because realistically, I think that's irrelevant. But because of the climate that we're in now, I'm going to cite it just for that reason. So some of these businessmen were black. There was many black businessmen in the late 80s, early 90s that couldn't really get help financially from institutions that Donald Trump helped. This is verifiable. Men who have, of their own free will, with their own mouths, testified of such. They've said these things themselves. I could make an argument that they're shills. I can make an argument that he paid them off to say this. Are all these things possible? Always possible, but I don't know that. All I know is what they said. And that's why I say this is just information being thrown out there. Wherever it sticks, however it sticks, that's up to you. So again, like I said, loved America, businessman, immoral man, many wives, quite possibly cheated on some of them. I can't, and when I say quite possibly, I can't prove that. So I can't in good faith just jump out the window and say 100%, yeah, that's a fact, without being able to prove that. That's slandering a man without evidence. I'm trying to be very equitable and fair in my judgment. So he runs on what he has pretty much always believed, nothing different. Love for America, America first. The media, for the most part, has attacked him a lot. That's just true, right? This, like I said, this is not about defense or attack. It's just things that I know. Fox News, kind of support him. They have some people that don't. As a matter of fact, the first debate moderator, Chris Wallace, from everything I gather, watching the things Chris Wallace has said, some questions he's asked, things he said in the past, he's not a fan of Donald Trump at all. And there's other people on Fox that are just not fans of Donald Trump at all. Megyn Kelly was one of them. I don't think she's on Fox anymore. So Fox, for the most part, you could say they support the president for the most part. All of the other news agencies, NPR, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, big tech companies, and you could argue most of Hollywood. You're not going to find many Hollywood actors that support Donald Trump. Most of them despise him, hate his guts. Most prominent people do, or at least we hear from the prominent people that do hate his guts. So that's what I know about Donald Trump. As president, he ran on America First, bringing jobs back, bolstering the economy, lowering taxes, building a wall. When he got elected, he made an attempt to do all of those things. No surprise there. He ran on something. He tried to do exactly what he ran on. Whether you agree with what he did or disagree, that's my point is not necessarily that. My point is what he actually did. The First Step Act. If you don't know what the First Step Act is, you can look that up. It's pretty much something that Trump isn't the originator of this. Someone brought the idea to him, a group of people, and he got behind the idea. And the idea and the premise is people who went to jail for nonviolent offenses and were given some exorbitant sentences. he pushed forward to have these people released early. Many people, I can't remember the exact number. I'm not even gonna try to remember, but it's in the thousands. Have been released from prison under this First Step Act. The majority of those people, Black and Hispanic. The last time I read from what I looked up, they were Black and Hispanic. Again, I want you to understand that this is not about attack or defense. This is just what I know, right? That's it. Just what I know. He moved to fund historically Black colleges for, the next 10 years, as far as I know. And from what I read, that was the first time that this has ever been done. That funding, I guess, when that time period is up, the way it was worded, from what I read, that funding, when it's up for renewal, it will either be at that amount or higher, but never lower. Opportunity zones. So this is a bill that allows for people to take advantage of tax breaks and incentives in impoverished neighborhoods. I believe the stipulation is you have to live in and be part of that community to take advantage of this, as to not have outsiders who have more access come in and buy up impoverished communities and muscle out and stiff arm the people out who live there. I'm trying to think of what else. Like I said, the border wall, tariffs on China. Some people agree, some people disagree. Agree or disagree, not my point. What we do know is that did incentivize businesses to do more business in the U.S. because it wasn't cost effective for them to do business in China. Some businesses. Many businesses coming back to the States as a result of that. A lot of manufacturing businesses. That was part of his promise, to bring businesses back to the States. He doing his best, whatever he can, to keep that promise. Border wall. He wanted a big concrete wall. He had some advisors, from what I read, advised against it. They advised for the Ballard fence. He fought to get funding to do that, put that fence up, and it's going up. Illegal immigration is a problem. Like I said, this is not a matter of right, left attacking legal immigrants, but illegal immigration is a problem, and it is a drain on a system. That is not me disparaging people. I understand why people want to come here. This is a great country, but someone who comes here and doesn't pay taxes and utilizes the systems that taxes go towards are a drain on the system. That's just a fact. You move into a house, you eat the food, you don't contribute to that food, you are a drain on that house. That's just a fact. It's not a matter of left, right, or indifferent. I'm just covering things that I know. He was never a politician. He's only been the president for 4 years. Before that, he wasn't involved in politics outside of business dealings that were affected by what happened in politics. Outside of that, wasn't involved in politics at all. Joe Biden has been in politics for 47 years, was vice president of the United States for 8 years. He was in support of segregation early on. He did make the comment as far as integrating schools, that he did not want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle. This is not an attack of Joe Biden. These are just things that I know that are true. That's it. Like I said, he was involved in politics for 47 years. I don't believe he was the originator, contrary to what people say. He was not the originator, if I'm not mistaken, of the 94-95 crime bill. But he was one of its biggest proponents, and I believe he helped with the draft. that 94 crime bill, for the most part, it affected blacks and Latinos more than other races. The reason for that, you would have to get into the dynamics of drugs within these communities, blacks and Hispanics being more impoverished than other races, and thus that crime bill having a bigger effect on them. Mandatory minimums and all of that kind of stuff. There's all kind of things involved in a crime bill, but Joe Biden was a big supporter of that. Like I said, it jailed many blacks and Hispanics. Joe Biden, the last time I checked, his net worth was like $9 million. That in and of itself is not necessarily, I wouldn't say that would point to him getting rich off of politics. If you make six figures for 47 years and you don't have 9 million, I'm going to say that you're an idiot. I'm just being honest. I'm trying to be equitable in judgment. I'm going to say you're an idiot. So that, no surprise, there has been speculation that some of his family members have gotten rich as a result of him being a politician. I can't verify that. I do know, as a politician, some of his family members have gotten rich. That's just a fact. That's not an attack or support. It's just what I know, things that I literally can prove. His son, Hunter Biden, was a drug addict. That is true. Not an attack, just something that's true. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Donald Trump has appointed some of his kids and to different positions within his administration. I will comment on that in fairness, to him. I will comment and say I'm not really bothered by that. If I wasn't involved in politics, and this is the only reason, like I said, this is my attempt to think objectively, just looking at the situation as it is. If I was a politician or running for president, never having been in Washington, not having been a politician, I don't trust people I don't know. I know my kids, they love me and I love them. If they're smart and I've sent them to school and they're very learned and in enough areas that I can trust them in certain positions, I would probably appoint them as close to me as possible before anyone else. Not really much to do with nepotism, but much to do with trust. So in that regard, I would not even criticize Biden or anyone else for appointing their children to some position within their administration, especially if they felt like they couldn't trust the people around them. Not really surprised by that. As far as I know, from everything I read, Trump has been losing money since being president of the United States. I know he has donated his paycheck to different, different causes. So he's not taking a paycheck. There's the controversy over Hunter Biden with Burisma. I could go into that. Don't really feel like getting my page banned, so I won't discuss it. There's much breaking news coming out about that situation. Not hearsay, his actual emails, actual photos, Biden conversations through Hunter Biden with officials from different countries. It appears that Hunter Biden made money off the clout of his father being the vice president. I can't verify that myself, but these emails, which appear to be legitimate, allude to that. Again, not an attack or support, just things that I know right now. In Biden's 47 years in politics, as far as I know, he hasn't really done much. So I can't really necessarily offer large critiques on, what he's done or not done, because from everything I can tell, for the most part, he wasn't all that active. You can look up the video of him during the Clarence Thomas hearings when Clarence Thomas was nominated for the Supreme Court. You can look up the things he said. Joe Biden has made some racial comments that I will not repeat over the years. Again, not hearsay things. You can go on YouTube, look up the videos, and watch him say these things vocally himself. Again, this is not about attacking him. This is just what I know for a fact right now. Things that I can verify. Joe Biden, like I said, politics 47 years. I can't really say he's helped. The crime bill definitely hurt the Black and Hispanic community. Other than that, I can't really say Joe Biden has really done much to help the Black community. The media appears to be, for the most part, favorable to Joe Biden. Again, not hearsay, not a support or attack of the media, just what I know that I can prove right now. Just things that I can prove. Now I want to get into some things that are going to be could be perceived as bias, because I want to get into my opinion at this point. Trump is a guy that wasn't in politics. He's losing money being the president. His family's defamed at every end. The news media, for the most part, does not support him at all. Social media will heavily censor you if you cite many things that the president says. He's been censored by social media, so has his press secretary. Locked out of different social media accounts, prevented from saying things. The media will not allow you to talk about the current story concerning Joe Biden's son. They have banned the New York Post, one of the oldest newspapers in the country, from what I've read. I don't know much about the history of the New York Post, so I'm not even going to feign like I do. And I'm not going to feign outrage like, how dare they? I don't know much about the New York Post, but they did ban the New York Post. Super odd. No matter which way your support is, one way or another, that is super strange. They have banned many accounts across the board, across Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and Facebook, that have been, some of them have been heavy supporters of President Trump. Some have been supporters with some degree of criticism as well. But a lot of those pages have been banned across the board. Can no longer post. Like I said, Facebook, Twitter, as far as I know. I'm not sure about YouTube. I know Facebook, like I said, and Twitter are blocking any story citing the New York Post article talking about Hunter Biden and the leaked emails. If you watched the town halls yesterday, some people, I haven't watched all of them, so I can't give a comment as though I watched them, so I can't give a comment from authority. What I saw from the town hall with President Trump was a little hostile. The questions, they were definitely challenged him. From what I hear, the town hall with Joe Biden was a little more favorable, relaxed, calm. It was pretty much like a conversation. Here's what I will say. Donald Trump has went on many news organizations where people disagree with him. He has sat down with people who he knew was going to put him under fire, and he sat with those people and he's talked, and he said some stupid things, but he sat under fire. He sat with people that were going to lob some hard questions to answer at him. Joe Biden has not done that. Joe Biden has not done that at all. He's not sat with anybody who's definitely going to challenge him with some hard questions that demand answers. So, in this upcoming election, consider all these things. A man who they call racist, who I can't say Donald Trump is racist. He's had many interactions with blacks and Hispanics. He's helped black and Hispanics throughout the years. People bring up the Central Park Five. Kind of unfair. Not kind of, it is unfair because many people, including blacks, you can even find the videos on YouTube, were criticizing the Central Park Five heavily back then because all people could go on was what they had, the information they had at hand. And all the information they had at hand said that these kids were guilty of raping and beating this woman. As far as I know, they even admitted to it. Now, reports have come out since, they've been released, said they were coerced into doing that by the police. But the only information people had at the time was that they did it. And again, you can go on YouTube, unless they've scrubbed these videos from the internet. I watched them not too long ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, where there were even black people who criticized heavily the Central Park Five and said the book should be thrown at them. So what Donald Trump said during that time was no different than what black people were saying. So to call him racist over that, disingenuous, and I can't accept that. People have said he's racist because of some of his dealings on some of his properties. He's talked about that at length, and his comments are comments that I understand. If you don't have the money to pay, you need to leave. I don't care who you are. That's a fact, right? That's a fact. If I'm a businessman, I'm not running this business to lose money. And again, that's not a defense. That's just saying, to say he's racist, I need something more than that. Now, people have said he didn't denounce white supremacists. That is not true. There's video evidence of him doing this going back at least 15 years. So people asked the question during the debate, why didn't he just denounce it right away? I could get into that at length. It's kind of annoying because it's a moot point, in my opinion, at this point. Like I said, Joe Biden, on the other hand, has had some racial comments that you can go on YouTube. I will not even mention the things he said, even as a black person, because I would probably be censored and banned if I repeated Joe Biden's words on video and audio. These are just things that are true. Like I said, I'm trying my best to do this in an unbiased way, even though I have offered my opinion on, in certain areas. What I'm trying to point out is there's a man who is definitely hated by Hollywood, by the media. There's many Republicans who quit after Donald Trump got elected. They hated him before the election. They blasted him. The Democrats blasted him. Everybody hated him. The news media to this day hates him. Hollywood to this day hates him. The music industry, sports, pretty much all of entertainment. There's very few athletes and entertainers who support the president, and when they do, they're ostracized. Ice Cube is not a Trump supporter, came out and made some comments a couple days ago and posted some things on Twitter, and from what Ice Cube said, he was banned from CNN. All Ice Cube said was, look, I reached out to the Trump administration and to the Democrats about my plan for Black America and how they could help. The Democrats said after the election, we'll talk. He said the Trump administration made some adjustments, talked to me, and heard me out. That's what he said. Apparently, he was banned from CNN before this. I'm not really too sure on that, but, just kind of catching up on that. But yeah, I mean, any black person to come out and voice any kind of support for President Trump is ostracized. And again, I think that's disingenuous. There's legitimate reasons to criticize President Trump. Some people call him a racist. There's so much evidence to the contrary that you actually have to come up with something very incontrovertibly true for me to jump forward and go with that narrative. I can't go with that narrative off hearsay or misspeaks, right? Just like I'm not going to say, jump out the window and say Joe Biden is definitely a racist. I don't know that. That it would be disingenuous for me to say that. I can say he has made some comments that are very racially charged in the past, and there's audio and video evidence of this. That's not hearsay. That doesn't mean he's racist. I don't know the motives behind his comments. I'm just saying he is never challenged on any of that by the media at all. Outside of Fox News and some conservatives on social media, Joe Biden is not challenged by the mainstream at all concerning those things. One of Joe Biden's mentors, according to him, was a former Klansman. Now, could this man have changed his mind as in regards to the Klan and his beliefs from the past? Yeah, 100% possible. I don't know that. I don't know the man's heart. The only reason I point that out is Joe Biden has never been challenged on that at all. To the contrary, like I said, Trump has been challenged on the issue of race for years. You can go back and find video of Donald Trump denouncing white supremacy and specific people. Now, Donald Trump came out and denounced the Proud Boys off of a media push. I don't know if he just didn't know who the Proud Boys were, didn't know much about the Proud Boys, which that's completely surprising to me. The Proud Boys are not a racist organization. Crazy dudes, Western chauvinists, self-admittedly. I believe the dude who leads the organization nationwide, Enrique Tarrio, is black and Hispanic. Well, I know he's black and Hispanic. I watched a long form interview with him on Timcast IRL. If you don't follow him on YouTube, go to YouTube, look up Timcast IRL. He interviewed Enrique Tarrio long form. Now, why do I say that? Because Trump said at one point to the Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. And people ran with it. Oh, he told a racist to stand back and stand by. Well, the Proud Boys are not racist. They're not white supremacists. They have members who are gay, Muslim, Christian, black, Hispanic, white. Hardly a white supremacist organization. And that is a fact. This is not hearsay. This is not me going off what someone else told me. These are things I can verify myself. With all that said, and I purposely spent more time attacking Trump than I did going over legitimate reasons to attack Biden. The reason is I'm trying to be equitable. I'm more conservative than not. So to me, it makes more sense to point out more problems with the person who is on the conservative side, right? Than to jump out the window wholeheartedly attacking the person who is on the liberal side, since I lean more conservative. But you can't ignore the problems that Joe Biden has. I think my assessment is fair. A man that's been in politics for 47 years. 47 years. And your biggest accomplishment is being the vice president to Barack Obama. Hey, kudos to you. Didn't do much as vice president. And the 94-95 crime bill, yeah, that's not a good track record. Again, I wouldn't criticize Joe Biden over his net worth, and I could be mistaken on his net worth. If I am mistaken, please someone in the comments correct me, but I believe his net worth was $9 million. Being worth $9 million over 47 years, making six figures a year, that actually makes sense. Actually, it wouldn't be surprised to me if he was worth more if he did smart things with his money. With that being said, the establishment is 100% behind Mr. Biden, 100%. He does appear to have some cognitive decline when I see his interviews and when I hear him talk. That's not that's not a biased attack. This is just what I see, things that I see physically. I can't deny what I see. Some try to equivocate Donald Trump with Joe Biden, and I don't believe that's fair. And I'm going to show an example with a biblical reference. I am not saying Trump or Biden is anyone in either of these biblical references, so please do not misconstrue that. If you take King David and you take Ahab, if you were to tell me Ahab and King David are equal, I would laugh in your face. They're both sinners. David was a man after God's own heart. That's what the Bible says. He had Bathsheba's husband killed after sleeping with Bathsheba. Definitely evil. But if you were to try to tell me that Ahab is equal to David, come on, bruh. Let's get real. Let's get real. Ahab was wicked in every bone of his body to the core. What I'm not saying is that David wasn't a sinner and he was just this benevolent being. I'm just saying the facts are the facts. David was a man after God's own heart that did something egregious. Ahab was a man who cared nothing about God, that just did evil things all the time. Donald Trump is an immoral man that ran a business, helped many people out, their own words, their own testimony, loves his country, wants America to thrive. Joe Biden has been a politician for 47 years. The crime bill that put many blacks and Hispanics in jail more than others. And like I said, we can argue about why that happened, but it was him. His mentor was a former Klansman. That was him. His son appears to have some controversy as far as getting rich over Joe Biden's political connections. That's him. Joe Biden didn't do much to help America. As a matter of fact, supported some policies that actually put us in a deficit as far as economic business treatment with our enemies. So it put us at a shortfall and lifted our enemies up. That was him. These are things that I can verify. This is not about a biased attack. Things I can verify. Why did I say all this and why did I go long today? I'm not going to tell you this is the most important election. If you don't vote right, the country is going to collapse. I'm not going to get into that rhetoric. What I am going to tell you is I don't think it's genuinely honest to equivocate Trump and Biden. An immoral man that loves his country, that ran a business, that helped some people, and a man who's been in politics for 47 years, hasn't really helped the country and hasn't really done much to move us forward. That's not equal. I wanted to do this just because I wanted to offer a fair look at what I see is going on and a fair look at what I think is an unfair comparison. That's just my thoughts. I have gone long today. I apologize. As I said, I know many of you don't like hearing videos on politics. You like my biblical analysis and breakdown, and I will return to that. But I just thought that this was a fair discussion to have. Y'all know what it is. Stay frosty, people.